to get in a game, you have to have a ticket to get into the game. And to him, what he called a ticket was your education or skill. You need some type of either skill trade or you need something to get in the game.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
There will still be the journey.
The journey.
New sheriff in town, and his name is
The journey.
Journey.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is
The journey.
The journey.
What is it that moved you?
The journey. The journey. The journey. The journey.
Welcome back to another episode of The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson, and today we have an icon that I'm sure you're going to love. But before we get to him, we have a quote. The quote is by the great Maya Angelou, and it goes a little something like this. The future is not simply given to us, but created by us. What does that mean? Nothing's given to us. We have to go out and make it happen. And as black men, most of the time, that's the situation we're in, is that we're always making it happen. I use that quote because this gentleman, Andre Gist, is unique. He's a veteran at buying manufacturing businesses and selling manufacturing businesses. And he's a girl dad. He's a committed father, committed contributor to the city and the Mid-South region. He's also a member of them Purple and Gold Boys, Omega Psi Phi. Husband, and beyond all of that, I think he's a phenomenal entrepreneur and a phenomenal man. So without further ado, Brother Andre Gist.
Hey.
Thank you, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you for
Glad to
coming
be
on
here.
in and checking us out.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Tell me a little bit about the early years. Let's go back.
How far back you want to go?
Early, like 2-3 years old, at the house. You got your mom, your dad. What it look like?
Okay. So I have one brother, older brother.
Okay.
And grew up in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
Which was also called Buick City.
Yeah.
Every Buick
Wait a minute.
was made in Flint, Michigan.
That's the
100%.
810.
Absolutely. It definitely is the 810. Absolutely.
Flint.
Yes,
Flint.
sir.
Now,
Yeah.
Now Flint has some issues with water and things like that.
Yes.
How do you feel about that being a native of Flint?
I hate it because a lot of people only know about the bad things that have happened in Flint. Otherwise, they wouldn't know about Flint. And
Okay.
so back when General Motors left and
Right.
abandoned all the plants there, we had over 30 plants there at one point. So this was just the last of the big thing that, another kick in the face,
Right.
to Flint, Michigan. It was very disappointing because it didn't have to happen, you know.
Right.
And it happened to Flint like other black primarily cities in Michigan and maybe throughout the country.
Right.
But which meant the state had to take it over. We were in bankruptcy.
Right.
Started running water out of.
Well, hold on. We're gonna
Yeah.
get to that. We're gonna
Okay.
get to Flint. I want to hear more about Andre. So Andre was at the crib. You had an older brother, mother, father. What'd your parents do?
So my mother, she stayed home. She worked at the hospital for a while, but my dad worked in Buick City for 38 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and so just the four of us there, went to public school.
Okay.
My elementary school was right down the street, so I walked to school every day. And my
Right.
junior high school was 4 blocks up the other way, so I walked to school every day.
So where did this love for technology and engineering and all of that manufacturing, where'd they come from?
I guess it was all about cars at the time, being a Buick City, car city and everything. And we used to I used to make model cars.
Right.
So it was a big thing back then,
Right.
buy the box and all the pieces and put it together and paint it, you know. And then I went from there to buying these other little cars. And we learned I used to do rockets.
Okay.
We'd buy the little engines, and send them off.
You've
And then
always been an engineer.
so I combined the rockets with the cars, and then we had a little team of guys, and we used to do that. So we were taking cars apart and putting engine in them and set up the electric and set them off down the street, you know.
Wow.
So kind of started back then in elementary school.
Okay. Who outside of your parents had the biggest impact on a young Andre?
let's see, other than my dad, probably actually, local pastor,
Okay.
a couple of my uncles, and coaches,
Okay.
Yeah, I started trying to play basketball, so.
Okay, give me a shout out. Tell me a brother who you want to give some love to.
Oh, okay. Well, we had a lot of stars come out of Flint.
Okay.
One of the latest would be Glenn Rice.
Okay. But they ain't had no impact on your life.
Oh
I'm
no.
sorry.
Well, back in the day, the ones I used to look up to would be Dr. J.
Okay.
Those.
Dr. J wasn't out of Flint, was he?
No, he wasn't out of Flint, but Trent Tucker.
Okay.
He was a couple years older than me. So
Okay.
I went to the same schools. He went to Flint Northwestern.
Okay.
And then he went on to Minnesota, and he was played with
So
Jordan.
basketball had a big impact.
Yeah, at the beginning before I moved by, my sport really is in track and field. So
Really?
yeah. Once I got cut, and then I said, all right, I got to do something else.
Okay.
Everybody wanted to play basketball, but it was just too much competition. So
What was your?
So I was 800.
800?
That was 800 and the 400 relays. Tried to run the hurdles, but the 800 was my thing. I won state. I mean, I won city.
Okay, you want
I
to see?
made it. I was all state, but I didn't win
Okay.
state. My best friend actually won it.
Okay.
But, so I did well.
Okay. At what point in your life, Andre, did you know you could look in the mirror and say, "I'm gonna be all right. I can do this thing called life"?
Wow, that's a good question. It was probably a couple years out of college, actually. It was, once I came back, I ended up working for General Motors. It was called Buick Cadillac at the time, in the engineering department for bumpers and bumper systems, front end and bumper systems as well.
Right.
I said, okay. And once because I watch people, I'm not a big talker, but just
Right.
watching people, and I'm very competitive.
Right.
And then I would look at where I would like to be, and I'd see this guy, and I'd check him out for a while and says, well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Okay.
I just need to know what it takes to get there.
Okay. Quick question. I'm gonna take you back, and I know that most young brothers know, and especially when the dad is at home. What was that time like when you realized that your dad wasn't a joke?
Oh, I knew. my dad was old school.
Yeah.
He is in the army, so he was very strict about rules and getting up in the morning. He doesn't like what he called laying up. You up at 7 o'clock, make the bed. Put everything away.
Even as a kid, you had to get up.
Oh, absolutely.
Saturday
Absolutely.
morning?
Absolutely. Yeah, if I wanted, because I watch my cartoons,
Right.
you got to have, you got your rules, and whatever the chores, putting trash out, whatever, cut grass, all that good stuff. So that was it every day.
Oh,
yeah, so he didn't play. Yeah, and he was a big guy too.
Oh, he was?
So
He was a big
was
dude?
just intimidating. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right, Dre. So listen, we last question of the segment. Most brothers I know have an experience where they realize they're a black man. Sometimes it's a young dude, sometimes it's much older. For you, when was that moment that you realized that you were a black man? Hold on for a quick second. Listen, we're gonna be right back on the journey where Brother Gist is gonna share with us when he realized that he was a brother. So stay right there. This is The Journey on the Kazukian Network. We'll be right back.
This is a journey.
Let me take you on a journey.
Success in life is not a straight line. There are twists and turns in everyone's life, and the more you know about their story, the more you'll understand the process. Kazukian Media Group proudly presents The Journey, a show that features successful black men in Memphis telling their stories of their lives and the ups and downs they've encountered on their ultimate road to success. We believe The Journey will encourage young men and help them see that life is a journey. Watch The Journey, hosted by me, Larry Robinson. Brought to you by the Kazukian Media Group in partnership with the Delta Boulay. Welcome back. So before we left, we had Brother Andre Gist going to share with us when he realized he was a brother. But before he does that, I got another question. Andre, what's your superpower? What's that superpower that you have that you can do better than anybody else?
Well, my wife wouldn't agree, but I think I have some really good jokes. I don't have any to tell, but I think she doesn't think I'm funny, but I think I'm funny. So,
well, now that would be you would have to be, like, comedian level.
Well, I'm not at that one.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
life of the party.
Well, it depends on who's in the party. I got people who get my type of humor. So
okay, wait.
So
let's scrap
group.
that one. Let's go to another.
Okay.
Who are you? If you know, I don't know you at all, and I meet you on an elevator, and I said to you, "Who are you?" How would you describe Andre Gist?
Pretty easygoing. Businessman.
Mm-hmm.
Like to make money.
Okay.
Like to have a good time. I still enjoy sports, and I still love music. Going to live sporting events and music events,
right.
and hanging out with my family. I have 3 daughters, and we have a really good relationship. So
you must have been hell on the women, bro, back in the day.
That's what you say, because I have no boys, and so I did all right.
Okay, tell me about that.
And my wife and I, we have a good time too.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take you back. What was that time when you looked across the room and you saw that little girl that just made your heart go pity pat? Who was she?
That's my wife.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. In Flint, Michigan?
This was in Detroit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about her.
Well, actually, I was with some friends of mine to meet somebody else. It was a blind date, so we were there to meet. And her and I didn't get off. Did not get along. So she's actually more interested in a friend of mine.
Okay.
So, which that worked out fine. So my wife was up front, checking out the band, and I says, wow, let's check her out, man. She's nice. And a buddy of mine, which I didn't know, says, oh, I know her. I'm going to go talk to her. I'll introduce you to her. Okay. And then so he went over there. He's a real big talker. And so I went over there and started talking to her. And, here's 30 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
3 kids and everything, huh?
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So we're going back. When did you realize you was a black man?
Well, I tell you, so I was co-oping when my last 2 years in college. Okay. I co-op with the Westinghouse Electric Systems in Lima, Ohio, and there were 3 of us all from Bowling Green, and we would go all the way up to Lima, Ohio to work anyway. And so I went to my supervisor and I asked her if we could tag along with a local, one of the engineers, kind of, and work with this person, and learn, from this person, and like a mentee, type, and she came back the next day and she says, that's a good idea, and we're going to start with George. And I said, wow, my idea.
Right.
Nobody had anything else to do with this, but she decided to start this whole process with him. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of let me know right then.
Right.
Then when so this is semester there, semester back in school, back and forth. It's my turn to come back. The guy I get assigned to didn't want to have anything to do with me at all. So I had to basically chase this guy around the plant because he didn't really want to talk to me.
Wow.
So he'd leave drawings out, roll up this was back when there was no internet, no much on a computer, so everything's by hand, so we got these big drawings, and they had to be folded a special way, so when you can look at the titles here and all that kind of stuff. And he would give me an assignment to fold drawings all day long. That's it. And he's off to a meeting, doing his thing, which is what I wanted to follow him and see how he operates. He would leave me in a room folding drawings. So
how did you navigate that? How did you navigate through that?
What I did is I would try to get that done as fast as possible, and then I would just pound him, And at a point, once I realized that he was a jerk, I just continued to follow him around anyway, where he could not deal with me.
Right.
Because I'm upset and he's upset too. So at this point, I don't care if he's upset. I'm going to follow you around anyway, and I got out of it whatever I could, and then eventually I talked into them allowing me to teach a class in CNC machining language, and so there was a need for that. So they allowed me to go ahead and set up to teach a class. I put together my own book, the classwork, paper, everything myself. So that was my way to work out of that and just started doing something else.
What did that moment teach you? What did you pull from that moment, or what do you glean from looking back at that moment?
That it's not fair. It was really an eye-opening because I went to black schools my whole life, elementary, junior high, high school, everything was basically primarily black schools. So not until I go to Bowling Green, which is only 6% black, that I started, getting a taste of the difference, but because I'm very competitive, I always think that I can work out through anything, so I just I always try to put towards on sports, I'm just going to work harder. I'm going to outdo this, try to figure out what, and just keep pushing, You
mentioned sports, and I noticed that a lot of young men who have that sports background seem to have a level of resilience, perseverance. What does sports bring? What did sports give you as a young man growing up?
Teamwork, a shared goal, and celebration after successful. I wasn't as good in track in college as I was in high school, but it was still a lot of fun. You get to travel, go places you wouldn't normally get to go regularly, and just working with other people who like to exercise and and other things that come along with being an athlete, the uniform, all the other all of that stuff is fun stuff,
Working with others and teamwork, a lot of young people are watching this. When you talk about all the businesses that you've acquired and also sold, how important is that, being able to work well with others? What would you say if you were sharing with a young person about the need to be able to work in teams?
It's very important because you won't be successful unless you have the other support around you, and you can't just fire people when things don't quite work out. So you got to understand how to make people get the best out of them and get them to respect you and show them respect, show them that that they can do certain things that they're hired to do, and that you're almost like a coach in a way, as being the owner or boss or whatever. You're kind of like the coach. They got to understand what the vision is, where we're trying to go, what the customer wants,
When did you know that you wanted to be the owner, the guy in charge? What moment was that when you had to go ahead and take that risk?
Well, actually, not until I was forced to have to do it, because I was given the opportunity to buy in ownership into a business. So when we started, there were 4 of us. So my boss was the major owner, and he allowed me to come in and buy into the company, with the goal to eventually buy him out.
Okay.
So that was always the key. That after, and it was 3 years. There was 4 of us, 2 of the younger guys, you could take us out. And 3 years. He says, all right, I'm ready. You know, I mean, he met his word, and you know, and so, but just being as a supervisor and a manager, you just learn and watch people, and it's like, okay, you know, it's not so bad, you know. And then if you want it to go a certain way, you know, you have to take control, you know. As long as you're trying to follow someone else's rules, you know, which may not line up with what you know, you need to be able to have to say, all right, well, I'm going to have to take the lead on this whole thing, because it's not going to go where I want it to go. Right. It's not going to go where the customer wants to see and where this needs to be.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Were there decisions in your life where, as a young person, you made a decision and it ended up having lifelong impact, even though you didn't know that at the time?
Well, so that comes down to actually coming to the South, because we actually wanted to do this deal in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
So if it wasn't for the customer saying, we need you to locate in Tennessee, would I've ever come down here? And I actually started looking to just not do this at all. And I started interviewing to go to some other companies in Detroit. And my wife and I talked about it, and so we decided to give it a try. And so this was back when no internet, so we pulled up a map. It says, all right, we have to go to Lexington, Tennessee. Where's the nearest city, bigger city? And we're trying to figure out, so, there's Jackson, Tennessee, you know, that's bigger, you know, which at the time was like 40,000 people. But that's more than 6,000 people, you know. So, you know, and then from there, and then eventually started spending more time here. And says, all right, this is more closer to where I'm used to. You know, you go from Detroit, you know, it's just still smaller towns, you know.
Right.
But, you know, it was a great, you know, it ended up being a very great decision to come down here. Great place to raise my daughters and everything, you know. So,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Your career. How would you define your career?
Overall, I think it's most of all the automotive related businesses.
Right.
And so that worked out well.
So are you still in the automotive?
Well, I have a startup company, a partner and I, and so we have a lighting product.
Okay.
That we're still trying to get off the ground, BG Innovative Systems. So that's a different story, but yeah. So, and that's really on the large truck side. We're trying to get that on the automotive side right now.
Okay.
So,
okay.
But,
anything you would do differently in your career, or going, you know, as far as where you went to school, or is there anything you'd want to mulligan on?
I would have gone and gotten an MBA.
Really?
You know, to get a better education on the accounting side, and maybe on the law side. You know, I mean, I have a CPA, I have a good lawyer, same guys I've had for 20 years.
Right.
But that knowledge, you know, I mean, I have it now, but you know, I would have been stronger at that. You know, would have helped better making some other decisions. You know, or quicker decisions on certain things. You know.
Okay.
But you know, it worked out. I got some really good guys.
I'm gonna take you back, Dre. I'm gonna take you back to Flint. You got up. You was up at 6:30 this morning. It's Saturday morning. You sitting there. You eating your cereal, watching your cartoons. Dude walks in the door. It's old Dre. What would old Dre say to young Dre? What words of wisdom would you give that young man sitting there eating a bowl of cereal?
I would have said, take your school education a little more seriously.
Okay.
I mean, I was a B student, but I could have worked harder.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I should have pushed a little harder.
Okay.
You know? I mean, I was on honor roll and all of that good stuff, but I could have got more A's. I just, you know, I was having fun.
He was having the ball.
Yeah.
All right, this is it, Dre. This is it. Brother Gist, there's many young kids that's going to watch this and going to hear this. I would like you to look into that camera right there And I would like you to leave them with an Andreism, something that they can take from this moment when they watching this video that they can hold for the rest of their life.
I guess we'd have to go back to the education, because what my boss, and he's a good friend and my mentor, told me is that to get in a game, you have to have a ticket to get into the game. And to him, what he called a ticket was your education or skill. You need some type of either skill trade, or you need something to get in the game. Either it's a degree or some skill that is going to get you in the game. Otherwise, you are outside watching everyone else, and you are going to struggle the rest of your life. So,
hey, couldn't say it any better myself. Listen, get you a trade. Get something that keeps you in the game that you can excel. Listen, this has been The Journey. For my guest, Brother Andre Gist, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We're going to keep bringing them to you. You keep coming back. Thank you for watching The Journey. I'm your host, Larry Robinson. Till the next time. Thank you to our partner, the Grand Boulé of Sigma Pi Phi Fraternity, Delta Chapter. To hear more incredible stories like this, be sure to download the Kazukian app from the App Store or Google Play, or check out the Journey Memphis podcast on all your major podcast providers. Also, check us out on the Kazukian Network.